some people have a hard time believing that God is still doing miracles, signs, and wonders today. But I want to just tell you a little story. And, I used to be one of those individuals who did not believe that God was doing these things until I was healed of asthma and eczema. I had no concept of God doing these things. I was one of those that would sit there and laugh when I watched things on TV where they were talking about miracles. And I'm like, I laughed at them. I said, I can't believe these people get a TV spot. So, here I am now years later, believing that God is healing after seeing thousands of healings and miracles, and seen hundreds of people's, you know, just be touched powerfully by God and lives changed. And it's amazing when you're sick. The most important thing is that you get healed sometimes when it's really, really bad. But I was reminded this morning of a story a number of years ago that we had just gotten our worship center space in about a 2,500 square foot space over here in Brattleboro, Vermont. And we had taken that space, and I didn't know how we were going to even do it. I didn't know how we were going to manage it. I didn't know how we were going to pay for it. But within a short time of being there, this fella came to Healing Grace. His counselor had encouraged him, you got to come to Brattleboro. You got to go to Brattleboro. You got to go down there because God is healing people. And so he got in his car with his wife, and they loaded up another woman that was a friend of theirs. And they drove to Brattleboro. And it was about a 3-hour drive for them. They were traveling a long ways. But they got in the car, they came because they heard the good news. I want to say that sometimes all it takes is people to hear the good news. But they got here, and they had a woman with them, and one of her issues was that she couldn't put 2 words together for 5 years because she was afflicted with Parkinson's disease. And when she walked in the door, she said, oh my God, God is in this place. And everybody, the people that brought her were like shocked that she put words together. She goes, God is in this place. And so, I don't know much about them. I'm meeting this fella as we're walking to the restrooms. It was a long ways to the restroom at the time. And anyway, at this place and time, we were, I was thinking, I'm going to be late for church if I walk with him. You need to understand, he was crippled in his body from a motorcycle accident that he had 2 years before. And as he was walking down the hall, he was walking very, very, very slowly, and it seemed like he could barely walk. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be late for church if I wait for him. So I had this great idea. I'll just put my hand on him, and I'll just ask him if I can just pray for him. Then I can scoot off to the restrooms and get back to church on time. I figured I needed to be, since I was the pastor. And so I head back, and I put my hand on him. I just laid my hand, just rested it on him. And I said, Lord Jesus, would you come? And then I asked him a question. After at this point in time, I'd already seen many, many people be healed, but I wasn't really expecting it. But he looks at me, he says, my legs are hot. And I said, oh, that's good. And within a number of steps, maybe 10 steps, he was healed in his body. Goes from being crippled to being healed. By the end of that meeting, he was jumping up in the air, clicking his feet together. I'm thinking, I can't even do that. He's just amazing agility. And I was just like marveling at this fella. Well, his wife was also healed. I think she had some pain in her back and some different things, and a lot of trauma on her. She was also I think involved in this accident or whatever, but she was set free, and she left without pain, and she And the woman with Parkinson's disease, they went out to lunch with her, and they found her, and they said, what's going on? And she was carrying on fluent conversation. And this is all just in one morning, but they went back to their church, and they had called me. They were going through a lot of difficulties. They went back to their church, and their church had actually first told them not even to come to Brattleboro, because that's not God doing those things. And but they believed because they heard the good news, and he said, don't go down there. But this couple was the worship leaders of that church, and they were now excited about what God was doing, how God had healed their bodies and touched their friend, and it did all these things. And they were like looking, during the middle of the first service, a leader at the church was kind of like jumping up and down, wanting to calm them down, not have them share these story of how Jesus had healed them. And but they just shared the stories, and then they had 3 meetings during the week to see how they could help, put this to rest, that they wouldn't share this story anymore because they didn't believe in healing. And I understand that. I didn't believe in healing. I didn't believe that God worked through people to bring healing. I thought, yeah, he could do that in a random act. I just never witnessed it. So he, they have 3 meetings. In one of these meetings, this couple is talking with the leaders, and the leaders are saying, you can't share these things here in the church. You can't share this testimony. And they're like, well, how can we help but speak the things I've seen and heard? That's what this fella says. And one of the women jumps up and runs out of the room, and she was set free of some tormenting spiritual dimensions right there on the spot. And as the wife who was healed hugged her. And but they had all kinds of meetings to help to put this to silence. And today there are many churches that are trying to put to silence the move of God. But I want to encourage you that God is moving, and you will not keep silent those who have been touched by the power of God and who have been healed. Some people will become silent because it costs them too much. But I want to tell you, I can't be silent, because I've seen these things, and I've seen people's lives be changed because Jesus came. I want to encourage you today, if you're going to one of those churches that's keeping you silent, you need to get out to places where you can meet Jesus, where you'll never be silent, because Jesus is still healing people today. He's still setting people free of even demonic spiritual realms. Yes, that's right. People sometimes even have devils. I've seen them come off people, and I just want to encourage you that you don't have to live in bondage. You don't have to live in torment. There are places around that God is wanting to move to set people free. And I want to tell you, sometimes you're going to have to go out to find it. But I want to tell you, Jesus Christ is alive today. And he is working inside of believers to set captives free. Hey, I just want to encourage you to have a great day today, and I bless you.